We go.
All right, so today, January 13th, Marcus Dillon and I, Rachel Dillon of Dillon CPAs, wanted to come on and share some of the latest pandemic relief bill updates and legislation that has passed. And so we wanted to share our thoughts on this, as well as some new information that's out, some new opportunities that are coming up.
Awesome. Thanks, Rach. I'm going to start the PowerPoint now. It's been a while since we've done this, so kind of getting back into the routine of life. Let me. All right. All right, so starting this bad boy off, let me know if you can see that, Rachel. You there?
Not yet.
You can't see it yet?
No.
Technical difficulties at its best. All right. Can you see that?
I do. I do.
And then what about now? You still
Yes.
see it?
I see it.
You see the real presentation or like the guts?
We're in presentation mode. We're good. You're
Awesome.
good.
Cool.
Excellent. So we do have updates as of January 12th. So we know today is the 13th, but I don't think anything has changed today. And if it has, we're not sharing that just yet. So moving on, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate y'all being here. We'll start off with our very first polling question. The first thing we would like to know of the people who are joining us today live, were you a recipient of PPP funds in round one?
So I vaguely remember doing some of these webinars back in 2020 and kind of helping assist people through that process. There's some good news if they didn't receive draw one funding. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see how people answer this. And so we'll give a couple more seconds here too. So. All right, well, on the call today, we've got about 90% of people did receive round one or a round one assistance. So that's good. We'll kind of talk into the few that did not partake in that first round and go from there. So we'll close that poll and move forward. Rachel. All right.
So some of the learning objectives that we hope to cover during this webinar really want you to have a general overview of the pandemic relief bill, know what opportunities exist there, who's eligible for that, and then who can assist you in taking advantage of those opportunities.
All right, well, I guess that's over to me now. So since we've last talked, since we've done one of these webinars, a lot has changed. A lot of good stuff has come in toward the end of the year. This was passed and signed into law right before the end of the year, whenever we were probably all maybe playing with those new toys that we got at Christmas, or looking ahead to New Year's Eve and telling 2020 goodbye and looking forward to 2021. Parts of this bill we'll reflect on today we'll touch on some of these individual aspects first, and then really dive into the business aspects, which we cover for most of our clients, given the nature of our client base. So on the individual level, another round of stimulus checks. If you pay attention to the political atmosphere, one, I feel sorry for you. There's probably some better stuff to occupy your time. But if you love the drama that's going on, what a better time for you to be involved there. So second round of stimulus payments, it's the same as what it was earlier in the year. So 600 per individual, 1,200 per couple. The kids are also included, or any dependents. You saw a push for an increase up to $2,000. That still could come out with the new administration, and kind of a push there in early 2021. But we already saw some clients starting to receive second round of PPP or of stimulus checks. So just pay attention there. The thing with that is it's going to be based off your 2020 income on whether you receive or should receive. So on the 2020 individual tax return, there is a true up that we'll have to do if you qualified and did not receive a check for round one or round two. You'll actually get that as a credit on your 2020 tax return. So the team here, if we don't ask you, it would be great to know if you did receive and how much of those stimulus payments, because that will be imperative on the 2020 personal tax return. Some other things that changed on the individual level, or the way that tuition and fees are handled in 2021 and going forward. Some phase outs, limits there. Charitable deductions. We saw the CARES Act bring through some changes as far as charitable deductions were concerned. But if you are not an itemized deductions filer, this is a benefit beginning in 2021 where you can claim an additional charitable deduction for donations you make on top of the standard deduction. So a lot of people do itemize, so it doesn't apply to many of our clients, but still that is a good addition if you do take the standard deduction and donate. Medical expense deductions, this is something that in our world kind of is a recipient of a Band-Aid most years, and it fluctuates between a 7.5% or a 10% floor. Well, with the new bill, they officially fixed it at 7.5%. So any medical expenses that exceed 7.5% of your income are then tax deductible if you itemize. So it's good that we kind of have some clarity there on that. The other thing that we're seeing at an individual level is expanded unemployment benefits. And so that'll go through Q1. Just wanted to make y'all aware of that. Some of those were ending at the end of the year, and with the political stuff that's going on, that was obviously touted kind of back and forth to extend those unemployment benefits. And then the other thing that's kind of new is flex spending account. So if you weren't able to use all the money in your flexible spending account, that actually can roll over into the new year. That is not the same as like an HSA. That is a flexible spending account. So the little debit card that you may load up pre-tax to use at the pharmacy or at doctor's offices, that the good news is there that does now roll over beginning in 2020 into 2021. So that's really the highlights of the individual things. We've got some more stuff on our website. We'll continue to push out updates individually. If y'all have questions, obviously reach out to our team or your point of contact here at Dillon CPAs, and we can make sure that you get your questions answered. So kind of looking ahead, we'll go ahead and jump into all the goodness that was a part of this signed law for businesses and for a lot of our business owner clients. I couldn't have been more pleased with some of the things that were clarified in this law. I'm hopeful that the relief that is a part of this does kind of help carry people through the beginning of 2021. So it's our role as your advisor, as kind of part of the accounting and tax team, to really guide you on what opportunities exist. So these are very high level that we'll kind of dig into some of these here later today in this presentation. So the obviously PPP first draw. So if you were not a recipient of the first draw back in Q2, Q3, that's reopened. Very similar rules around that. So that's good. If you didn't know about the economic uncertainty and just chose not to participate, or were not given a chance to, that's reopened to you. PPP second draw, which we'll talk a lot about, is now available for impacted businesses, and we'll get into kind of the requirements there. The big thing was, and many of y'all that work with us throughout the year, was really getting clarity on whether the PPP loan forgiveness was going to be a taxable event. And so, as your kind of advisor to help guide you and be the most conservative approach, help you get ready for the cash flow necessary for tax payments, we had to go with the IRS regs that said, hey, the expenses on your forgiven loan would create a tax impact. And so when we did a lot of tax projections toward the end of the year, we planned for that. The great news is that this act came in and kind of did a technical correction and aligned the actual law with the original intent of the PPP loan. And so this is the first time in my career and a lot of other CPAs' careers that you can actually double dip. So that means you could use the PPP loan for payroll expenses and then actually deduct those payroll expenses, which has never happened before. So this is great news. A lot of the January 15th payments, which are due on Friday, by the way. So if we've told you to pay something, you might as well do that today or tomorrow. We're based around safe harbor estimates, but just let us know, reach out to your team member if you do have questions about that. So the other great thing to come out of this was just streamlined application forgiveness for round one loans that had not been forgiven yet that are under 150,000, and then also this second draw PPP application for loans under 150,000. We did see some simplification for loans under 50,000 in round one. So you still have to attest that you use the money to the rules of the program, but still a lot of ease from application for forgiveness there. The other cool thing that we saw was probably soon after the CARES Act was enacted, we saw the SBA start making payments or directly on certain loans that some of our clients had. Really, it was certain SBA loans paying both principal and interest, I guess you could say, but essentially they weren't in deferment. They were actually being paid down or over time, just like if the client would have been paying them themselves. The great thing is that this law also came out and clarified that those principal reductions in those loans are also not taxable income. So that's another benefit that I'm not sure how many people are going to benefit from, but pretty cool that you don't have to pay tax on that forgiveness of debt. Some people are excited, the restaurant industry, on this next point. So 100% of business meals are deductible starting January 1st. Really just looking to jumpstart the hospitality and restaurant industry, and by doing a full deduction there, that maybe encourage people to go out and support those small businesses and restaurants to take a longer lunch, buy more alcohol, whatever you want to do. That makes that meeting that much more enjoyable for business purposes. These last couple of points are really big points. We won't get into a lot today because they are pretty technical still. So ERTC, the Employee Retention Tax Credit, that's been extended and changed. There's a lot of benefit in ERTC, and so we'll talk about that here. We do have a slide on it. Just want to table that for right now. And then the extension of FFCRA sick and family leave. This is when, if you had an employee or a team member that either contracted, was positively diagnosed with the virus, or is caring for someone, there were special payroll rules that expired December 31st. They've extended that through Q1. So kind of same protocol there that we've talked about in the past. All right, Rachel, we're about to dig into first draw PPP. Do you have any questions at this point? Anything we can touch on just to kind of maybe a good break?
I think so far, so good. And so
Okay.
Just keep rolling along.
All right. So Rachel's there as my beautiful assistant to answer any questions y'all got coming in. So I know that we've seen some come in through the chat window. So keep keep going, and then we'll have time at the end for questions as y'all have them. So, all right. So PPP first draw reopened. So if you applied, if you were that 90% that already applied for round one or draw one, that you can kind of maybe not pay attention to the slide. But if you were one of those few people that did not take advantage of round one funding, or you have another business that you're a part of that has payroll that did not take advantage, this is your opportunity to go back and take that first draw. So they did update the application effective January 1st, 2020, or January 8th, 2021. It's very similar to what we saw the application ultimately be back in Q2, Q3. So just as you fill this out within your bank's portal, or even hard copy if you did not take advantage of round one, obviously you're going to pull payroll 2.5 times of those payroll costs. So really not much has changed here. Just want to make sure that y'all are filling out the most up-to-date application. And then obviously if you do intend to apply for that first draw and you were not a part of it, reaching out to your banker that you do have a relationship with to make sure that you are on their radar. If you don't have a banking relationship, let us know and we'll get you to somebody that can assist you there. So, but just wanted to pull that and make sure that y'all were looking at the best, most up-to-date application. So, all right. So this has been what we'll cover for the most part today, PPP second draw. So there were some changes compared to the first draw program. This is obviously aimed at smaller businesses because of the bad press that PPP round one did receive with some of the public entities or some of the larger businesses that did receive funding that wasn't well received by members of Congress, by the public. So company size is smaller. You do have that limitation there on 500 or less employees. And so just want to make sure that or 500 was, now it's limited to 3. Just want to make sure that we're paying attention to who could qualify. Most all of our clients are in that under 300, so we're not worried there. The big talking point on whether you qualify or not is that you do have to show a 25% reduction in revenue quarter over quarter. So 2020, Q2, Q3, Q4 versus that same quarter in 2019. And so with that, we're starting to learn more about this, what the banks are going to look for whenever you do a test that you were down 25%. So part of what clarification still needs to happen is on what maybe a definition of revenue is. When we look at it, we assume revenue is sales. Revenue is cash collected from most of our clients that's coming in. So, but you kind of also have to take it a step further with other aid that you received during 2020. So they've already come through and clarified that some of the loan forgiveness, obviously PPP draw one, is not included in that 25% reduction. So that's great. The other items that we can kind of put aside are the SBA loan payments. The benefit from the SBA paying those loan payments won't be captured in that 25% amount. So that's good. The one area that has yet to be clarified, and really it's because it comes down to they're determining that these are taxable income, are the local grants. So Fort Bend County, Harris County, if you receive something at a local level that was deemed taxable or deemed taxable given the rules that we have, they're going to probably consider that as revenue. The other item is HHS stimulus that some of our medical and dental clients did receive. Jury's still out. We still need clarification. The great thing for most of our dental and medical clients, they didn't receive that until Q3, Q4. Most of you will qualify for round two based on Q2 alone, because as things happened, as shutdowns or restrictions were put in place, your pipeline of revenue, obviously production, collections, and then your cash flow was really impacted in Q2. So every client that we've really assessed so far, Q2 is the one to kind of review. The great thing is those HHS and other forms of stimulus didn't come in until later in 2020. So That's really where we start, is that Q2 look back. If you have questions about whether you qualify or not, let us know. I will say that banks, we've reached out to a couple of our partners, and they really, I don't know that they have a good plan on how they're going to verify a 25% reduction. I've seen some bankers already ask for a 2020 tax return. That's not available yet, obviously, to compare to 2019, and it's going to look at an annual. So they may be lazy and try to look at just a 2020 tax return, which probably won't be out for a few weeks or even months. Compare that to 2019. Or they're also looking at payroll, which that's not really how this is defined. So banks will continue to define their scope and how they'll let you apply for this. Ultimately, I think the banks may need to get out of the way. And if you're saying that you have a 25% reduction, ultimately that's what the SBA is going to hold you to for this ultimately to be forgiven. So if you're on the edge, or we need to look at it before you do apply, let us know, like reach out, because on that application that we'll show you here in a bit, you do have to attest that there was a 25% reduction in any one quarter. So we'll continue to keep our eyes and ears open on that to clarify things, but just wanted to let y'all know that the banks are still trying to figure this out as they go as well. So calculation of the loan, we've already gotten some questions coming in from clients on, hey, how do I calculate this? This is second draw. So you did the first draw, it's going to be pretty much the same way. So you're going to be getting 941s, 940s, all that data that you submitted the first time around. You may have to update it for the new quarters that have passed, but ultimately you're looking back at 2019. We've gotten some questions on FTE calculations and things like that. Well, I haven't seen any updated rules. So everything that we did for the first draw is what we will do for the second draw. So the other thing to point out, if you did take a round one or a draw one distribution and you're available to take round two, and you are in the hospitality industry, restaurant or some type of food service, you do qualify for 3.5 times payroll versus everybody else 2.5 times. So 2.5 months, restaurants and other food service related would be 3.5 months. So the way that the IRS and the SBA is going to determine whether or not you qualify is obviously you're going to attest that you are a restaurant or food service, and your tax return has a code on it that says what type of business you are. It's called NAICS, and those businesses start with 72. So if you're curious, hey, do I qualify as a restaurant? You can really look at your tax return and see. If you don't know if you qualify as a restaurant, we may have bigger problems. But yeah, I would make sure that you have 72 listed on your NAICS code or beginning with. In this other drop, there are also a whole list of ineligible businesses, some with foreign ownership in certain countries, multi-level marketing or pyramid schemes. There's just a whole, just different ones that you probably like shake your head and say, yeah, they shouldn't be a part of this. That's also been written into this new law because, like I said, they got some bad press round one. So they want to kind of make things right in the second round and make sure that they get the funds needed to the people that need them the most. So looking at the second draw application, what we see here is it's very similar to the first round. But let me see, we may be having some technical issues. Okay, Rachel's frozen, so I don't know if y'all can see her picture, but you get to enjoy that, just like you'd be sitting at my desk looking at a picture of Rachel. So so she sent me a text from across the house to let me know that she's frozen. So we may lose her for the rest of today, but so this is the second draw application. Very similar to what we saw in the first round. It's just, you do see this new section that's added here to kind of attest to, hey, this is why I qualify for this second draw. This is the 25% reduction. what we have heard, this program has already opened up as of Monday for certain banks. Obviously, haven't heard of anybody getting funded or maybe even kind of fully submitting their application. But this is, you need to have your financials updated so you can produce this information. If you aren't a client of ours and you're doing this stuff on your own, kind of DIY, I would go with what you know to be true, that you can prove out, because you may have to support that. For us, for our clients, we're going to pull your financials and drop in the exact amount of cash basis or accrual basis, depending on how you file your tax return, of receipts. So that's kind of the approach that we're taking until we hear otherwise. So that's our approach. You will see also a change where the 3.5 for restaurant industry, and then also where it's saying you cannot exceed 300 employees. But yeah, pretty standard. What will happen, the SBA dropped this, I think on the 8th, the same day as the first draw. What will happen is the banks will obviously create their portal. That'll open up, or you'll be invited to participate in that application process. And then you're off to the races. So this is obviously the top section of that application. There's some questions or certifications below the owner name that you also need to do, similar to draw 1. So on there, this is a legal government document. Do not attest to something that may not be true or that you're just not fully aware of. If you intend to take a second draw to go buy a really nice Lamborghini, that's cool, but I don't want to come visit you in white collar jail. So let's do our best to make sure that the second round gets to folks that need it, and kind of go from there. So that's the application. I'm sure we'll see more changes or more tweaks on it at the bank level, but wanted y'all to at least see it and see some of the changes that we did point out. So if you really want to dig into PPP round 2 a little bit more and stay up to date, obviously SBA is the best resource for that. This is the super long email or website address where you can go to that. This is what the landing page, what it would look like. So you do stay up to date. Our office will continue to push out updates as well. But I would go to the source on this, go to the SBA, go to the banks, and just make sure. Obviously this date needs to be updated because they're updating it daily. And this was a template from a previous webinar, but pay attention to the SBA itself. They drop interim final rules on you, IFRs, which if you break down interim, final, it just doesn't make sense, but it just means we're making up the rules as we go. I think the last one was up to like 41, 42 pages. If you really want some light reading, you can go into that. But ultimately, it's our job as your advisor to kind of read through that as best we can, make sense of it, and ultimately have that conversation with you to say, hey, this is what we understand to be true. So kind of moving along, it'd be a great time to, Rachel, are you there? Oh, look at that.
I am, I'm back.
So, all right, we'll go ahead and do this second question and see if it goes okay.
All right, so do you think based on what the new changes have been laid out, do you think you'll be eligible for PPP round 2 assistance? And I guess, and also, are you planning to take advantage of that? So once we close this poll, give you a few seconds to answer, then Marcus will share those results.
All right. Give about, I don't know, 10 more seconds or so. So were you just like taking a break? Like, did you just say that you're
really, I just needed a break. So I just told you that I couldn't function, that my screen was frozen and I was no help.
Either that, or you're just trying to get a new laptop out of your boss. I mean, that's the other thing that I could see happening. So, all right. So we'll go ahead and end this poll and share results. All right. So about half say that, yeah, they're going to move forward with round 2 assistance. They're comfortable that they do qualify. 20% say, hey, I don't qualify. Good to know, obviously. And then 30%, how can I determine this? So for that 30%, the easiest way is if your accounting is up to date, if it's maintained by our office and we're kind of your go-to relationship on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis, reach out to us. We can answer that question so much faster than you digging through your financials. So reach out to us if we're that team for you. If not, you can go into your accounting system. Hopefully it's QBO, QuickBooks Online, and you can kind of look at the whole revenue that you had come in, a P&L for the year, choose to show that quarter over quarter, and then compare prior year by dollar and percentage amount. So I don't have my screen share turned on. I can kind of show you the nuts and bolts of how to do that. We have a whole bunch of other team members who know QuickBooks Online way better than I do, and they would love to help you as well. So what my recommendation there is, for those people, just reach out and we'll be happy to serve you in that sense. So, all right, I'm going to stop sharing those and move on to the next. All right, so kind of talked about this a little bit, ERTC, Employee Retention Tax Credit. So this is not completely new. This was introduced in Q2 with CARES Act and all the fun stuff that happened back in 2020. We didn't pay as much attention to this because once you took PPP funds, ERTC was off the table. So most of our clients were going after PPP because we did some early analysis that PPP was just the better route to take. But ERTC was still there, just didn't have many people take advantage of it. With the act that was passed towards the end of the year, it actually opens up to where you can do both PPP and ERTC and take advantage of both. You cannot double dip, like you cannot use wages that were forgiven with PPP and apply that to ERTC credits. So that's something that we'll have to work through. These calculations will be pretty in depth. They are done at the payroll level. So it does flow through Form 941s, which are your quarterly payroll reports. Here are just the basic changes. And we're learning so much about PPP, the new round, and we're learning so much about ERTC. It's, as you can imagine, 2020 had a whole host of tax law updates that we're still working through. This last one, I'm sure you've heard it. If you pay attention, it was over 5,500 pages. The second largest congressional act or bill or law ever passed, as far as we know. And so I think, give us a little bit of grace. We're doing our best to try to answer your questions as they come in. But ERTC is something that we are paying attention to. We do know that to claim some of this, either there will have to be a new mechanism in place with payroll tax returns or some type of new filing, or we'll have to go back and amend prior quarter 941s. So Q2, Q3, Q4, if you qualify. So, and really this was designed for people that chose to pay employees, pay team members out of their pocket and would rather get the tax credit than lay them off or do furloughs. And so whenever you get down to the root of this, that's what this is geared towards. You do have to show either a decrease in revenue quarter over quarter, or you will have had to been impacted by a government order to shut down or reduce operations, or even the patient base that you may see. So it does apply to a lot of people, but with the calculations, we have to make sure that we're not double dipping, that it does make sense. So here are the changes, and this goes on into Q1. Obviously it could be very beneficial, up to $10,000 of credit per employee. So really what this gets down to is it's adjusting the Social Security tax on the employer side for the as part of the payroll. So when you look at big picture, it is good. At the end of the day, Social Security is not a system that probably we need to be stealing from, but that's another topic. But that's ultimately what this is. And so it is an immediate way to get some of that credit back to you. We're learning more is really all I can say about this. We're paying attention to it. It will be something that we will talk about in future webinars or in additional updates, but just rest assured that we are watching this for you. If you do outsource your payroll to somebody other than our office, I was in office and I talked to another CPA last week and talked about the bill, talking shop. And I said, well, ERTC, that's a huge benefit for clients. And their response was, oh, well, we don't do payroll. ADP and Paychex will handle that. Hear it from me, they will not. So ADP and Paychex are great softwares. We use ADP, we partner with them for software. Your sales rep that signs you up for ADP or Paychex is not going to know whether or not you qualify for ERTC. If they have a helpline and you want to do a DIY and kind of assess, more power to you. If you would rather have a full service, kind of have our team engaged throughout that process, let us know, reach out. We'll kind of give some contact information at the end of the webinar to do that. So, but ERTC is a very big talking point. We'll kind of get more into that in future releases. So, all right, Rachel, I think we're doing pretty good on time. We'll have plenty of time for questions. I think Rachel always asks, what are the takeaways that you would be focused on as a small business owner ourselves, advising so many clients. At this point, with what we know, your primary objective is PPP2. So if you qualify for that second round, if you qualify for round one and you didn't take it, we've got until March 31st to really get our application in. The funding for it, I don't think there's a need to go out and run and be in the first wave. I may be wrong, but it seems like the last round of funding still had some money left in it. So it appears that it is funded to a certain extent. So that's reaching out to our office, making sure if you do qualify, educating yourself, reaching out to your lender to make sure that they know that you think you qualify. So you're on the list to get the email when the application is ready. And then also starting gathering payroll records. If you're a client on Boss or anything with our office, we have all that data for you. So it's really just as soon as the bank lets you know that you're ready to submit an application, then that's whenever we'll kind of help work behind the scenes with you to get everything to you. So we've said plenty of times, like the opportunities in this tax bill are way too many for one webinar. What we tried to cover today was just highlights, letting you know we're still not on vacation. We're actually working on your behalf. The team has done excellent this past 2020 and through the holidays just to make sure that everybody's cared for. Let us know if you do have something specific to you that you need answered. We're here for you. Really, and then the next point, I think as a business owner ourselves, consider all business opportunities. So I believe we're entering a time, we saw it in 2020 and then going forward into 2021. In the past, if there was a certain way that you did business where it was just kind of on autopilot or it didn't take much effort, maybe you kind of ran the business, off the seat of your pants and just didn't go with much data to help you make decisions in the business. I truly believe that we are in a different time now where you need to educate yourself with the best information as possible. You need to kind of take it off cruise control and start driving. So pay attention to what's happening in the market, pay attention to opportunities that exist, just be very intentional with your business. There's no room for error, as we saw with so many businesses being impacted in 2020. If you were running your business like crap prior to COVID, you probably didn't survive it. And so I think we are lucky to work with so many great business owners who ask great questions and value our input. And so that's what gives us life. Some of the ways that you can really be proactive or be intentional with your business, team assessment, talent pool. So that means that we've seen this era or this time in our country where there's a lot of people that are laid off. So if you have the opportunity to go acquire talent, and even now in a virtual environment, maybe you're going to hire somebody that you never thought was possible before. And can you take advantage of something that exists, whether they are on hard times or whether there's just an opportunity to add great momentum to the great work that you're already doing. So the way that Dillon CPAs has done this, we are adding to our team by leaps and bounds just to better serve you. In the past month, we've actually brought on a new tax director who will help kind of speak into some of this new tax law and kind of keep us up to date as far as we are. We're very excited about Charles joining the team. When we talk about virtual opportunities, we actually just hired a new assistant that actually does not sit in Texas. She's not fortunate enough to be in the great state. So, but she is outside and she's going to be a part of our team. So I think that's what we've done. That's what we would encourage you to do, and just look outside of where you've been limited before by just a geographic area, because now boundaries really don't exist. Go out and hire the best people possible if you can. So pricing review. So this is another thing that we know that at the rate of money that was dispersed in 2020 and in 2021, changes in the presidential administration, kind of changes in Congress, all the stuff that maybe you've tried to block out, taxes will increase. So we know that that's coming down the road. We know that we're entering into an inflation just because so much money has been printed in the last year and programs have been pushed out, that we do need to pay attention to inflation. You need to pay attention to pricing in your business. Whatever services you provide, whatever product you provide, it's time to do a market rate analysis of where you're at. If you're on that low end, increase your price. Pricing is the one metric that can add budget to your business. So review your pricing, make sure that you're providing value for the price that you're asking. A lot of our medical and dental clients had to adapt and create a whole new way of doing business with PPE and additional supplies. We know that supplies are increasing. We know that the cost of underlying things are just going up. I would rather you pay attention to pricing and increase or be in the front or on the first part of that wave, as opposed to being too late to react and having months of no profit. And so just pay attention to that. If you've got questions about pricing, let us know. That's something that I love to do with assessing where you're at. And so, but any of the people on our team can help do that as well. The last thing that I don't want to discount as far as in your business is looking at your peers, looking at your competitors to see what they're doing. Maybe they're doing something that you've never thought was possible before, and you can go do that. The other thing is looking for people to acquire. M&A activity in 2020 and 2021 has started to increase. And so we know that if there's an opportunity there, the banks are probably more than willing to give you the money to go out and do an M&A acquisition if it makes sense. So just know that the people that weren't doing business as well as they should have been are probably being impacted and not as profitable. So that gives opportunities to clients like ours that are in a great financial position and can go respond appropriately to take advantage of something that's happening in the market with a peer competitor. And then that last thing is self-care. So we know that we've been running on this treadmill since March of 2020, and it's mid-January of 2021. So 10 full months of just uncertainty, of stress. That's a lot for any one person to handle in a week. We've been doing it for 10 months. So whatever it looks like for you to unplug, whatever it looks like for you to delegate responsibility so that you're cared for, recommend anything you can do. If you need to talk to a licensed professional, I'm not that guy. We have great people that you could talk to, but really recommend just taking some time for yourself, turning off the TV, blocking out social media. We could all, do better with more of that in our life. And if there was, when the initial slowdown happened in March and April, and people were taking walks and, doing cool things with, just more time on their hands. Let's get back to that. I mean, spending time with family and friends, that's what this is about. That's what life's about. So really recommend investing in yourself, investing in self-care. And then that way, as we come through 2021, you're just going to be that much stronger of a leader, that much stronger of a business. So, all right, Rach, well, let me see where we're at. You want to do that question?
Yeah. So just along those lines of self-care, just again, notice that that's not something that you have to go out and purchase or an activity that you do, but really in making time available to think through and not constantly running at such a quick pace. So I guess now we're on to the information that was presented today. Was it helpful to you? And so, yes, thank you, or no, I had already researched these topics, or maybe they weren't relevant to you at this time. Or unfortunately, hopefully nobody just came to the webinar for prizes because we don't have any.
Did we give prizes? Did I forget?
Well, Marcus forgot your prizes. They were supposed to, no, I'm just kidding. So no prizes. Marcus will share those results.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So 100% of the people were very gracious in this. And so we are just hitting highlights today. So that's all we were trying to achieve. There are technical people behind the scenes here at Dillon CPAs and in the consulting groups that we're part of that are researching this stuff day and night. Just letting you know that you do not have to research this stuff day and night. So let's go ahead and move on. I think we're in the last stages and then we'll have time for questions if there are any, Rachel. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So like Marcus said, no need for you unless you are, an experienced and just have a general interest in learning about these tax law changes and pandemic relief legislation updates. No need for you to spin your wheels trying to do that. Where we think your time is best used is, of course, generating revenue and taking care of your team and your customers and clients. So really, that's where your time is best spent. Let our team research this for you and then give out the information that's necessary. So to get in contact with our team, you can email info@Dillon CPAs. Marcus and I are both available. Our team is available. And also on our website. So if it's something that you want to read about quickly, we have links on our website that are in short, abbreviated, and just highlights the important information that may be pertinent to you. And so you can look and see a relevant topic, click on the link, and then read about a quick overview. And that way you can come up with some better questions really to direct towards our team.
All right. Yep. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. And then some other places for information. Again, if you are not one of our full service boss clients and you do want to kind of put some information together on your own before you contact someone to assist you, or even if you're going to tackle it on your own, that's okay too. We think that the SBA website is a great place to go directly for information related. Department of the Treasury. If you have an outside HR and payroll company, definitely lean on those people to pull reports. Again, they're not going to reach out to you saying, hey, you may be eligible for this. We've been looking through your files, but they can definitely run reports or answer questions that you have if you reach out to them. Your banker, they're the ones that are actually, providing the loans, approving the loans. They are the ones who have the most knowledge in the applications. And so your banker, if you don't have that relationship, finding that relationship, we're happy to help you find someone. Is a really good idea right now. Same with a legal resource. So an attorney, again, if you don't have that relationship, we think that it's better to have one before something happens or before you need that person. And then that way, in the event that something does, you already know who to call and you're not trying to figure out and, interview or decide on who might be best to help you.
All right. I think that Rachel, do we have any questions that you haven't answered, or I know you've been kind of busy behind the scenes?
I haven't seen any additional questions come through the chat, the Q&A that is open. And so if there are any, we'll give just a few seconds if you guys have any questions related to what Marcus has discussed, or maybe something that we didn't cover that you had hoped would be covered during the session.
Yeah, and I think most of the people on this webinar are looking at, all the attendees. Y'all are pretty familiar on how to get in touch with us. So you're probably not going to ask a question through this unless Rachel's already asked it. So hit us up, Liscio, email, just how we can help. Our team is here to serve you. We are truly invested in your success, and wouldn't be here without you. Obviously, we survived 2020, hooray. But that's because of the great relationships that we have working alongside you and your team on the other side of this camera. So, all right. And then I think, Rachel, is there one? Well, there you go. One last question.
One last poll to go through. Would you feel more confident with a team guiding you and your business through 2021? No, you got it. The webinar was that good that you don't need any help. Or yes, Dillon CPAs is my accounting and advisory firm, or how do I find a team to guide me? Those are your three options. Let us know, and then we can talk through those results.
All right. Yep. And so we've gotten, I'll give it 5 more seconds, but to kind of thank you all very much. The results on this webinar are nothing that we wouldn't expect. So obviously, we appreciate y'all again. Thanks for allowing us to kind of speak into this on your behalf. Let us know if there's anything that we can do for you or your team to help, navigate these uncharted waters. I think we're all in this together, and really looking forward to what 2020 will bring for all of us. So I'm going to stop sharing those results, and I think that's it, Rich. We're good.
Yeah, that's it. So what we'll do, this is recorded, so we will send this out just in case you have information that was included that you want to review at a later time. If you just want to watch Marcus and I fumble through technology at the beginning and laugh, that's fine too.
We'll edit that out. We'll do some cool intro video, and it'll be good.
Nope, that's my job, and I'm not editing. So you're getting live, uncut, raw, no social media facade on there for sure.
All right, guys. Well, it was great to talk to you. Until we talk again, y'all have a good one.